Hello Wrestling-verse family. I'm coming at you with some absolutely shocking news that has sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world. Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf himself, just unleashed pure destruction on JC Mateo in what can only be described as one of the most brutal beatdowns we've witnessed in recent memory. And folks, this isn't just another wrestling storyline. JC Mateo was legitimately rushed to the hospital after this attack. So grab your seats, hit that notification bell, and let's dive into this absolutely insane situation that has everyone talking. Before we get into the carnage, let me paint you the picture of how we got here. For weeks, tensions have been building between these two powerhouses. Jacob Fatu, coming off his dominant run and establishing himself as an absolute force of nature, has been sending messages to anyone who dares step in his path. JC Mateo, on the other hand, has been building momentum of his own. This rising star has been making waves, talking trash, and quite frankly, poking the bear. And when that bear is Jacob Fatu, 6'1", 270 pounds of pure Samoan fury, you better be ready for war. The writing was on the wall, wrestling fans. Social media exchanges, backstage confrontations, and that intense face-off last week where you could cut the tension with a knife. Both men were circling each other like predators, but nobody, and I mean nobody, expected what was about to unfold. Now let's break down exactly what happened, because this attack was so vicious, so calculated, and so absolutely devastating that it's going to be talked about for years to come. It started innocently enough. JC Mateo was making his way to the ring for what was supposed to be a routine promo segment. The crowd was hyped, the energy was electric, and Mateo was feeling himself. You could see it in his swagger, in his confidence. He grabbed that microphone and started running his mouth about how he was the future of this business. That's when the lights went out. When those lights came back up, Jacob Fatu was standing right behind JC Mateo like some kind of wrestling nightmare. The crowd erupted, but you could see the fear in Mateo's eyes as he slowly turned around. For a split second, time stood still. Then all hell broke loose. The super kick came out of nowhere, boom. Connecting with such force that Mateo's head snapped back like a rubber band. But that was just the beginning. Fatu wasn't done, not even close. He grabbed Mateo by the throat and delivered a throat thrust that sent him stumbling into the corner. Then came the hip attack, that devastating running hip attack that Fatu is famous for. 270 pounds of pure force colliding with JC Mateo's midsection at full speed. The impact was so violent that you could hear it echo through the arena. Mateo crumpled to the mat, gasping for air, but Fatu was in full destroy mode. The Samoan drop came next, lifted high into the air and driven down with such authority that the entire ring shook. But here's where things got really scary, folks. Jacob Fatu wasn't satisfied. He picked up the barely conscious JC Mateo and delivered not one, but two more Samoan drops in succession. The crowd was going absolutely insane, but you could sense the mood shifting. This wasn't just wrestling anymore, this was a straight-up mauling. Medical personnel were already moving toward the ring, but Fatu had one more message to send. The moonsault. A picture-perfect moonsault from the top rope, crashing down on JC Mateo's already battered body. The impact was so severe that Mateo's body went completely limp. The arena fell silent. This was no longer about entertainment, this was about survival. What happened next will haunt wrestling fans for a long time. As soon as Jacob Fatu rolled out of the ring, the medical team rushed in. JC Mateo was completely unresponsive. We're talking about a legitimate medical emergency unfolding before our eyes. The stretcher came out, the neck brace was applied, and you could see the genuine concern on everyone's faces. This wasn't a work, folks. This was real. The cameras kept rolling as they carefully lifted Mateo onto the stretcher, and the silence in that arena was deafening. Reports started flooding in immediately. JC Mateo was rushed to the nearest hospital where he underwent extensive medical evaluation. We're talking about potential concussion protocols, internal injury assessments, and a full battery of tests to determine the extent of the damage. Now, I want to be clear here, while we're analyzing this from a wrestling perspective, we're also dealing with a human being who was seriously hurt. The wrestling business is inherently dangerous, and moments like these remind us that these athletes put their bodies on the line every single time they step through those ropes. Early reports suggest that JC Mateo is conscious and responsive, which is obviously the most important thing. But sources close to the situation are saying he's dealing with significant bruising, possible rib injuries, and is under observation for any signs of serious head trauma. The wrestling world didn't wait long to react to this absolutely shocking turn of events. Social media exploded with responses from wrestlers, fans, and industry insiders who couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. Veteran wrestlers were quick to praise Jacob Fatu's intensity while also expressing concern for JC Mateo's well-being. One longtime performer tweeted, "That's the kind of intensity that separates the main eventers from the rest." Praying for JC's quick recovery. But not everyone was impressed. Some critics are calling the attack unnecessarily brutal, questioning whether Jacob Fatu crossed the line from professional wrestling into something more dangerous. The debate is raging across every wrestling forum and social media platform. Here's what's really fascinating though, this attack has elevated both wrestlers to a completely different level. Jacob Fatu has established himself as an absolute monster, someone who doesn't just win matches, he destroys opponents. The fear factor is off the charts now. Who's going to want to step in the ring with someone capable of this level of destruction? And JC Mateo? As unfortunate as this situation is, he's now got the ultimate comeback story waiting for him. When he returns, and I have faith that he will, he's going to have the entire wrestling world watching. The sympathy, the support, the anticipation for his revenge, it's all there. This attack changes everything, wrestling fans. The entire landscape has shifted in one night. Jacob Fatu has just announced himself as the most dangerous man in wrestling today. This wasn't just about winning a match or advancing a storyline, this was about making a statement that will echo through the entire industry. Think about it, every wrestler on the roster is now looking over their shoulder. If Jacob Fatu can do this to JC Mateo, what's he capable of doing to them? The psychological warfare aspect of this attack is absolutely brilliant from a wrestling perspective. But here's the thing that has me most excited, when JC Mateo returns, and he will return, this is going to be one of the most compelling revenge storylines in wrestling history. The emotion, the genuine heat, the personal stakes, it's all there. This isn't manufactured drama, folks. This is real emotion born from real events. The rematch, when it happens, is going to be absolutely electric. The crowd will be molten hot, invested in a way that you rarely see in modern wrestling. JC Mateo will have the ultimate motivation, and Jacob Fatu will have the ultimate target on his back. Management is going to have to handle this situation very carefully. They've got lightning in a bottle here, but they also have to prioritize wrestler safety and JC Mateo's health above all else. Wrestling vs. family, what we witnessed was both the best and most concerning aspects of professional wrestling all rolled into one devastating package. Jacob Fatu delivered a performance that will be remembered for years to come. The intensity, the brutality, the sheer physical dominance was unlike anything we've seen. At the same time, seeing JC Mateo carted off on a stretcher reminds us that this business we love so much comes with real risks and real consequences. These aren't just characters on our screens, they're real people with real families who worry about them every time they step into that ring. But here's what I believe, this is exactly why wrestling matters. The emotion, the unpredictability, the genuine human drama that unfolds when real stakes are involved. Jacob Fatu didn't just attack JC Mateo, he created a moment that will define both of their careers. The question now is simple, what happens next? How does JC Mateo respond when he's cleared to return? How does Jacob Fatu handle being the most feared man in wrestling? And how does management handle a situation that's clearly spiraled beyond their control? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. was Jacob Fatu's attack justified, or did he cross the line? How do you think JC Mateo should handle this when he returns? And most importantly, are you ready for what promises to be the most intense rivalry in wrestling today? Don't forget to smash that like button if this breakdown got you hyped, subscribe for more wrestling verse content, and ring that notification bell because this story is far from over. This is Wrestling vs. CC, and we'll see you in the next one.